Indonesia, a nation of immense potential, finds itself at a crossroads. As the largest economy in Southeast Asia and a significant military power, Indonesia's strategic decisions carry weight on the global stage, but with growing pressure from the United States to distance itself from China. How will Indonesia navigate this geopolitical tightrope? For the US, Indonesia represents a crucial ally in containing China's growing influence in the Asia-Pacific region. China, on the other hand, sees Indonesia as a vital link in its Belt and Road Initiative. Caught in the middle, Indonesia must carefully weigh its options, balancing economic and security interests. Indonesia's strategic importance stems not only from its economic and military might, but also from its unique geography. Situated at the crossroads of the Indian and Pacific Oceans, Indonesia controls vital shipping lanes crucial for global trade. Over 60% of the world's maritime trade passes through Indonesian waters, making it a linchpin in the global supply chain. Recognizing this, Indonesia has embarked on ambitious plans to enhance its maritime infrastructure and capabilities. The government has invested heavily in port development, shipbuilding, and maritime security. However, developing its maritime sector also presents challenges, including balancing economic development with environmental protection and combating piracy. China's economic rise has been meteoric, and its influence is felt across the globe, particularly in Southeast Asia. For Indonesia, China's economic might presents both opportunities and challenges. On one hand, China represents a massive market for Indonesian exports. Chinese investment has poured into Indonesia, funding infrastructure projects, factories, and digital startups. This influx of capital has significantly contributed to Indonesia's economic growth. However, growing economic dependence on China raises concerns about Indonesia becoming overly reliant on a single partner. Indonesia's government maintains it is pursuing a balanced approach, welcoming Chinese investment while seeking to diversify its economic partnerships. Indonesia's foreign policy has long been guided by the principle of non-alignment, a legacy of its struggle for independence. This principle dictates that Indonesia should not take sides in great power rivalries, but instead pursue an independent course based on its national interests. This approach has allowed Indonesia to maintain cordial relations with both the United States and China. Indonesia has also played an active role in regional organizations like ASEAN, fostering cooperation among Southeast Asian nations. The global landscape is shifting, with the rise of China and other emerging powers challenging the long-standing dominance of the United States. This shift towards a more multipolar world presents both opportunities and challenges for countries like Indonesia. A multipolar world offers greater flexibility, allowing countries to leverage their relationships with different powers. However, it can also be more unpredictable and unstable. For Indonesia, navigating this complex landscape will require astute diplomacy and a clear-eyed assessment of its own national interests. Indonesia must be proactive in shaping the rules of the game and ensuring its voice is heard on the international stage. The United States, eager to maintain its global influence, has been actively courting Indonesia, offering a range of incentives for closer ties. Military cooperation is a key pillar, with the U.S. providing military aid, conducting joint exercises, and offering access to advanced weaponry. However, some in Indonesia view this embrace with suspicion, fearing it could drag the country into unwanted conflicts. They argue that aligning too closely with the U.S. risks provoking China and jeopardizing Indonesia's economic interests. The South China Sea, a vital waterway for global trade, has become a flashpoint for tensions between China and its neighbors, including Indonesia. China claims almost the entire sea, a claim disputed by Indonesia and other Southeast Asian nations. Indonesia, while not a claimant to the disputed islands, has a vested interest in maintaining peace and stability in the South China Sea. Its exclusive economic zone overlaps with China's claimed 9-dash line, leading to clashes with Chinese fishing vessels. Indonesia has responded by stepping up maritime patrols and strengthening its naval presence, while seeking to resolve disputes through dialogue. Indonesia faces a delicate balancing act as it navigates pressures from the United States and China. It wants to maintain close economic ties with China, its largest trading partner, while safeguarding its strategic autonomy. Indonesia's approach has been to hedge its bets, engaging with both the US and China. It has welcomed Chinese investment, but also sought to diversify its economic partnerships. In the security realm, Indonesia has maintained military ties with the US while strengthening its own defense capabilities. Within Indonesia, public opinion on navigating the US-China rivalry is far from monolithic. Some segments, particularly those with strong business ties to China, see closer economic cooperation with Beijing as a path to prosperity. They argue that Indonesia should prioritize its economic interests. Others view China's growing influence with apprehension, citing its assertive behavior in the South China Sea and its human rights record. They argue that Indonesia should prioritize its strategic autonomy. This division is reflected in Indonesia's political landscape, with different parties advocating varying approaches to China. The government must balance these competing views while pursuing the national interest. Indonesia's foreign policy is shaped by its historical experiences. Its struggle for independence from Dutch colonialism fostered a strong sense of nationalism and a determination to chart an independent course. The trauma of the Cold War, particularly the US-backed coup in 1965, has fueled a deep-seated suspicion of foreign intervention. These historical memories make Indonesia wary of entanglement in great power rivalries. Indonesia's leaders are determined to avoid repeating the mistakes of the past. While geopolitical considerations loom large, Indonesia's foreign policy is also driven by pragmatic economic realities. As a developing country, Indonesia is focused on economic growth and improving living standards. China, with its massive economy, represents a crucial economic partner for Indonesia. Chinese investment has poured into Indonesia, funding infrastructure projects and digital startups. This influx of capital has significantly contributed to Indonesia's economic growth. Moreover, China has become Indonesia's largest trading partner, providing a vital market for Indonesian exports. This economic interdependence makes it difficult for Indonesia to ignore China's interests. As the US-China rivalry intensifies, Indonesia finds itself at a critical juncture. The pressure to choose sides is mounting, with both Washington and Beijing seeking to draw Jakarta closer. Indonesia is determined to resist this pressure and maintain its strategic autonomy. This balancing act will require skillful diplomacy and a clear-eyed assessment of its national interests. Indonesia cannot afford to alienate either the US or China, both crucial economic and security partners. Indonesia's choice is between preserving its independence and risking its future by becoming a pawn in a great power game. Indonesia's need for infrastructure is vast and urgent. This need has made Indonesia a prime target for both China and the United States, each vying to finance and build critical projects. China, with its Belt and Road Initiative, has made massive investments in Indonesian infrastructure. These projects have provided a much-needed boost to Indonesia's development efforts. However, they have also raised concerns about debt sustainability and transparency. The United States has sought to counter China's influence by offering its own infrastructure financing. These programs aim to provide an alternative to Chinese financing and promote high standards. The battle for influence in Indonesia is also playing out in the digital sphere. As Southeast Asia's largest digital economy, Indonesia has become a prime target for Chinese tech giants. Huawei has made significant inroads, supplying telecommunications equipment and partnering with local companies. However, Huawei's involvement has raised security concerns in Washington. Indonesia prefers to maintain technological neutrality and choose the best options based on its own needs. The military dimension of the US-China rivalry remains a sensitive issue for Indonesia. As a non-aligned country, Indonesia is wary of being drawn into a military alliance or arms race. However, Indonesia recognizes the importance of maintaining a credible defense posture. Indonesia has sought to modernize its armed forces while avoiding actions that could be perceived as taking sides. This balancing act reflects Indonesia's desire to avoid entanglement in a great power rivalry while safeguarding its own security. As Indonesia grapples with these complex geopolitical challenges, a new generation is coming of age, one that will inherit the consequences of the choices made today. This generation, tech-savvy and globally connected, is less beholden to the historical baggage of the past and more pragmatic in its outlook. For many young Indonesians, the US-China rivalry is not an abstract geopolitical game, but a tangible reality that is shaping their lives and their future. They see the economic opportunities presented by China's rise, but they also worry about the potential costs of becoming overly reliant on a single power. They value the democratic ideals and freedoms espoused by the United States, but they are also wary of American interventionism and hypocrisy. This generation will ultimately decide Indonesia's future course. Amidst the intensifying rivalry between the United States and China, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, has emerged as a crucial platform for dialogue, cooperation, and regional stability. Indonesia, as a founding member and a leading voice within ASEAN, has consistently advocated for a united front against great power competition, urging its neighbors to resist the pressure to choose sides. ASEAN's strength lies in its diversity and its commitment to consensus building. By bringing together countries with different political systems, economic models, and historical experiences, ASEAN provides a forum for open and frank discussions on issues of common concern. This inclusive approach has allowed ASEAN to address a wide range of challenges, from promoting economic integration to combating transnational crime and terrorism. In the face of US-China rivalry, ASEAN has sought to maintain its centrality and its strategic autonomy. It has resisted attempts by either power to divide the organization or to use it as a proxy in their competition. Instead, ASEAN has consistently called for a rules-based regional order, one that respects the sovereignty of all nations, promotes peaceful resolution of disputes, and fosters mutually beneficial cooperation. As Indonesia looks to the future, it faces a complex and rapidly evolving geopolitical landscape. The US-China rivalry is likely to intensify, presenting both opportunities and challenges for Jakarta's foreign policy. To navigate this uncertain terrain, Indonesia will need to draw upon its long tradition of non-alignment, its commitment to multilateralism, and its vision for a peaceful and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. Indonesia's foreign policy priorities are clear: maintaining its strategic autonomy, safeguarding its economic interests, and promoting regional stability. To achieve these goals, Indonesia will need to pursue a multi-pronged strategy that leverages its strengths and mitigates its vulnerabilities. Firstly, Indonesia must continue to strengthen its economic resilience by diversifying its trade partners, attracting foreign investment, and developing its domestic industries. This will reduce its dependence on any single power and provide it with greater leverage in its international relations. Secondly, Indonesia must continue to invest in its defense capabilities, modernizing its armed forces and enhancing its maritime security. This will deter potential aggressors and allow Indonesia to play a more active role in safeguarding regional security. Indonesia's journey through these geopolitical currents is fraught with challenges. The nation is acutely aware of the delicate balancing act it must maintain. A misstep towards the United States or China could have significant ramifications. President Joko Widodo seeks to maximize leverage by engaging with both superpowers. This strategy includes accepting Chinese investments while strengthening U.S. defense ties. However, this balancing act is becoming increasingly precarious. Indonesia's non-aligned stance will depend on U.S.-China relations and regional security. The Indonesian people will play a crucial role in shaping the nation's course. Indonesia's strategic choices will have profound implications for the Indo-Pacific region. The world is watching closely as Indonesia navigates this complex geopolitical landscape.